All right, hello, hello, hello. We're going to get started here just a minute. All right, Garen, hello, Mason, Cohen, Brianna, I see you. Hey, good morning, good morning. Levi, all right, I want to remind you we're going to get started here in 1 minute. We got 1 minute to get started. I want to make sure that you all have everything you need. You need your pencil, your notebook, your independent reading book. So if you don't have those things, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go grab them, okay? You have about a minute to do so. Okay. All right. At this point, I would wait for the clock to go down to a minute, and I would greet all the students as they come in, and then we would get started. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to check in with you. How are you feeling this morning? It's an early morning. Hold up those fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. How are we feeling? Ooh, I see some 4s. I see some 1s. All right. I see some 5s. Good. Awesome. All right. All right. So our goal for today, so we're going to continue with our reading from yesterday, but our goal for today is to really look at words, okay? Words sometimes have figurative and connotative, those are some big words, meanings. And those figurative and connotative meanings affect the stories that they're in. And so we're going to look at some words and some phrases of words and word choice, and we're going to decide on how do they affect the story? How do they make the story the sad story that it might be, the hilarious story that it might be, okay, and everything in between. So by the end of this lesson, you, the student, will be able to look for the deeper meaning of author's words and explain how the deeper meanings affect the text. How does it affect the text? How does it make it what it is? And why did the author put those in so that we would really understand the story that they were trying to give us? All right, so we read yesterday Fish Cheeks by Amy Tan, and so I want to give you about 30 seconds of think time to think about these 3 reviewing questions, and I will put the link of the story into the chat so that you all can have that. You might want to open up the story to review a little bit. Let me give you 30 seconds. You are looking at 1, 2, and 3 and just preparing your answers for them because I'm going to ask for a volunteer here in a minute. All right. All right. Who would like to do number 1? Who is our author and what do we know about her? All right. Alicia, go for it, Alicia. All right. Great job. You are correct. Yes. And what is the situation or the event that she is describing in the narrative? Oh, does anyone remember? Okay, what about for 2 dojo points? 2 dojo points. Can someone tell me the situation or the event that she is describing in the story from yesterday? Go ahead and look at it if you need to. Micah. You're right. Good job. You are correct. Okay. And what was the important lesson or the reflection all the way down at the bottom of the story? What did she share with us at the end of the story that she learned from this moment? All right, Levi, go ahead. Thank you. You are correct. All right, great job. So that's a good review. All right. So I'm going to show the video where we're going to get a little bit of this taught to us about connotative and figurative meanings, okay? And while you're watching the video, I want you to go ahead and get your notebooks and write down what connotative and figurative meanings are. So I know I have the definitions right there for you, but I want you to get them throughout the video if you can, so I know you're actively listening to the video. And then if you don't get them, then we'll jot them down afterwards. All right, here we go. All right, so I would make sure that they all have their notebooks. I'm not going to wait right now because I don't have real students, but they would be getting their notebooks, and I would make sure that they knew what to write. I might even not have these filled in so that then I could type them in as we go over them afterwards. Now that I just thought about that, like on the spot, that would be a good idea. So The video is 2 minutes and 21 seconds, and I chose that because it was a really short video, but an informative video. And so I never want to choose videos that are too long. So at this point, I would stop the video and I'd say, okay, so we wanted to write down connotative and figurative meanings. Awesome. Does anyone want to share? And if the students were having trouble, then I would definitely, go over it again for them. Connotative meanings is the emotion around a word. Okay, but figurative meanings is the words just don't say exactly what they are. So we're going to look at both of those here in a minute. All right, so let's talk. I'm ready for a challenge. That's why I joined the chess club. So we want to look at two things when we're trying to figure out the figurative and the connotative meanings of words. One, we want to figure out if the word is positive or negative. Two, we want to look at the words around it. That's called context. Context is going to help us to understand how are they using this word. I'm ready for a challenge. That's why I joined the chess club. Ooh, challenge can go either way. It can be positive in many ways. It could also be negative. But it says, I'm ready. I'm ready for a challenge. So therefore, this is a positive word, right? We're picturing something that's like someone's excited, raring to go. All right, but she challenged her mom and wouldn't accept the fact that getting a cell phone was clearly not happening. Oh boy, she challenged her mom. Do you think that's good? That's a good thing? No, we should feel like that's probably not a good thing. And we can tell because of the word choice around it. She wouldn't accept that fact. So we can tell that this is not really used in a positive way. So that's an example of connotative meaning, okay? Now let's look at figurative meaning. This example comes directly from Fish Cheeks, though, because now we want to transition over to the story, okay? So we're working on with our story. Amy, your favorite, he said, offering me the tender fish. I wanted to disappear. Now, there's a little bit deeper meaning than just I wanted to disappear. Yes, she wants to be gone, but why does she want to be gone? What are we supposed to know, even though the author doesn't necessarily come out and say it? So I want a show of fingers. If you think it's number 1, number 2, or number 3, okay? Number 1, Amy wished that she had the superpower to vanish from sight. Amy means that she wished at that moment that she wasn't there in that embarrassing situation. Or Amy wanted to become extinct and disappear from the earth like dinosaurs. What does she mean? How could we read deeper into that? Now, here's a helpful hint, right? I might try to remember what part of the story is and what I'm supposed to know. Now, I'm supposed to know that there's some really disgusting fish on the table and that this really is her favorite, but she is absolutely embarrassed in this situation. So hold up your fingers. And most of us have it. Number 2. Perfect. Perfect. The answer is number 2. All right. I want to do a quick check-in. We have connotative and we have figurative meanings. 4, 3, 2, or 1 on our understanding skill. We understand it. We could teach it. Ooh, I have some 4s. That's awesome. 3, I understand it. Good. And I have a couple 2s. I will check in with you later on in our breakout groups. Okay, let me write down who I got for number 2s. Keep them up. Keep them up. Awesome. Okay. All right, so we're going to break into small group. I want you to take a look at where your name is, okay? And you're going to do a couple of things, and I will show you what you'll do after I read the directions. 1, you're going to add your name to one of the examples. There are 4 in each, and most of our groups have 4 people, so you will just pick which example you want. We're not going to argue over it. We're just going to pick, okay? 2, one of the people are going to go first. Each teammate is going to go first. We'll decide who's going to go, and let's get going. Read the example from Fish Cheeks and start sharing your thoughts, okay? Is the word choice positive? Is it negative? Does it have deeper meaning? And you're going to start to fill in the boxes. Let me show you our document so that you know exactly what you're doing, okay? Well, you're putting your name in one of these boxes, and then that means that that column is yours, okay? So you would use, that would be your example right here. And then is it positive or negative? What does the author mean by it? And then finally down at the end, how does it contribute overall to the story? Does it help us to know something? Does it help us to feel something? Does it help her get her point across? Does it help wrap up the story? So how does it contribute overall? Okay? All right, so let's see. Groups 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to put 10 minutes on the clock, and I'm going to let you go in just a second. I want to remind you, though, that right here on the slide, I have accountable talk. If someone is having trouble and you want to add something to help them, because this is a collaborative activity, it's not just doing it on their own. They're going to read it, and then we're going to kind of work together to make sure that we fill out the chart. Make sure that you use these sentence starters, okay? So especially these ones like adding a suggestion or a thought. So those are there for you. Okay. All right. Groups 1, 2, 3, and 4. You all are good to go. 5 and 6. Stay with me. Stay with me for just a minute. All right. Groups 5 and 6. I just want to make sure that we understand our direction. So I want to go over it one more time. I'm going to give you a chance to ask questions. Okay. So what I would do now is I would go over the instructions one more time. I might even type in the students' names for them on the documents, on each of their documents. The documents would be set up so that they are only in those small groups and that they're only seeing their document and they can only type on their document. The whole class wouldn't be able to see it. And what I would do is I would just make sure I would go back and ask specifically if any of these students have questions, because those are my lowest students, my IEPs and my students that are not met. I have one, Sarah, who has an IEP in reading comprehension, but she's proficient. So I allowed her to go out, and I would probably check in on her later. But for right now, excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that these groups are good. I also would bounce in between. I would try to get to all the groups in the 10 minutes, but I think I would probably stay in group 5 and 6 the most, because those are the students that are going to need me. All right, the buzzer just went off, and we are going to review answers. The way that I would review answers is I would not put anybody on the spot, but I would have them have their document up, and I would go through each example, and whoever worked on that example, they could talk about it. I would ask for them to, help me to figure out, and if I saw that they were having trouble, then I would continue to talk about it. Another option, too, is always to pull up my document camera, and if it seems like they're having trouble, I might write out the example and talk about it even more and reteach if need be. All right, so at this point, I want to give peer feedback. You all just worked in groups, and I think we worked wonderfully together because we had awesome answers. So I want you to just choose one person from your group, okay? And I want you to give them positive feedback. I want you to give them positive feedback in the chat. So this is a really quick, Nathan, your answers were right on point today, and I enjoyed working with you, or I enjoyed hearing from you, okay? So just go to the chat right now. Let's pick one person from our group and give them some good feedback. Awesome. I'm seeing some really awesome things. Oh, Adeline, that was so sweet what you just said to Jaden. Good. Brianna. Oh, Brianna, great job. Good. I can tell you and David worked well together. All right, awesome. All right, so this is the last part, our last 10 minutes of class. We're going to be working independently, and you have a little bit of choice, okay? We're going to go back into the document. So let me show you that really quickly. On the second page of the document, okay, you have the same exact thing, but now it's blank. So you're going to put your name, and you're going to find an example from Fish Cheeks, or you do get some choice here. You can do an example from your independent reading book. Okay, so maybe read a paragraph or two of your independent reading book, and then go ahead and choose a part where you're like, you know what, there's figurative language, or there's figurative meaning in these words, or there's connotative meaning in these words. I'm supposed to feel something, and you're going to fill out the chart for that example, either in Fish Cheeks or in your independent reading book. All right, 10-minute timer, and when you hear the buzz, come on back. All right, I would take a look at this independent practice definitely as my data that I want to look at afterwards to make sure that we have a proficiency, to make sure that students are ready to move on, or if I need to reteach in a second lesson. This is a standard that would come around a lot, I feel like, and we would talk about it more than once in a year, but we want to make sure that the kids are on the right track and that they can do it independently, not just by themselves. All right, guys, so we are towards the end here. I'm going to take a look at what you had in your independent part, but I want you to be able to tell me how you're feeling as well. So our exit slip today uses Flipgrid. We've used Flipgrid before. Remember that you're going to be recording yourself, so you might want to write down or jot down these answers ahead of time. It doesn't have to be long. It's only 2 questions, okay? But here's what I need. I need a video of you telling me what your understanding of connotative meanings is. What is your understanding? Tell me in your own words what connotative meanings and figurative meanings are and what they do for a story, okay? And then also, I need to know what was the muddiest point of today's lesson. And if you look at my picture there, we know that the muddiest point means that this is what I had trouble with, okay? So what is your understanding? What are you getting from this? But then also, where did you have some challenge? All right. And if you have major questions that you need me for, why don't you stay on before you record your exit ticket, and I can answer any questions that you have. All right. Give me a thumbs up if we feel like we're good. All right. I will see you next time. Thank you. All right. Complete your exit ticket. All right. Goodbye.